Good morning. I hope you're having a wonderful time. So I do remember last week we did on the topic writing to inform. Yeah, and I did give you a homework to do, an assignment, which you need to upload. I hope you have uploaded. And yeah, remember, homeworks are very important because you get to practice what you have learned. So they're very, very important. So today we are continuing on that topic. So I will need you to open your books. I mean to take your books, workbooks, and open on page 17. Page 17. There you're going to find an excerpt or a part of biography giving information about the life of 19th century writer Robert Louis Stevenson, right? Robert Louis Stevenson. And so is the heading there. It's written Robert Louis Stevenson. So, yeah, I'm just going to point out some of the things that things we can see in that biography, yeah? And some parts of it that you can also apply to your own writing. All right. So I'm just going to tell you how the paragraphs are, the structure, and what other aspects I can see, and I can explain them to you. So of course, there you have the introduction. The introduction is introducing who Robert Louis Balfour Stevenson is. Yeah? Where was he born? Which year he was born? The mother's name, father's name, who he was raised with, the name, and so on and so forth. So there's an introduction there to tell us, to give us a brief background about this person. And then, of course, we go on to the second paragraph. Yeah. Of course, we are being given of his academic qualifications, the schools that he went to, education background, so on and so forth. And then, of course, if you go to the third paragraph, we see his travelings, where he went. Yeah. So it's saying from August 1879. And then, of course, we go on to the fourth paragraph. Okay. His character, how he was, his behavior, what people observed about him, and of course, we go on to paragraph 5. Speaks more about his career, all right. And then paragraph 6, of course, that is wholly taken from part of his writings, and of course, it's poetic in a way of matter of saying, and I'm going to explain to you the meaning of it later on. And then we have the final paragraph where Robert Louis settled towards the end of his life, or I mean, at the end of his life, rather. Of course, what do we need to see here? The paragraphing. Paragraphing. Of course, each and every paragraph is focusing on one aspect, and as I explained to you at the beginning, for example, we have the first paragraph that says the background, where he was born, which year he was born. Of course, we see kind of nicknames. He give a nickname to his nurse and Kami, right? And then, of course, we go to the next paragraph. It speaks about what it speaks about his academic qualifications and his education, so on and so forth. So each and every paragraph, that is very important. It's very important informative text. You have to focus on what? You have to focus on a single topic. Right? That way, it becomes easy for the reader to gain more information. And as a writer here, it would be easy for you to say, now in this paragraph, I'm focusing on this topic or a certain aspect, and you focus on that aspect only here. So if you can see in this paragraph, see there's only each and every paragraph has only aspect that is occupying that paragraph, and that is very, very important. All right, so it's very, very important that you should not cramp in so many aspects in one paragraph. You have to take one aspect and focus on that aspect. It's very important. Of course, if you go into the language here, if you go into the language, what do we see? We can see that the language is formal through and through. Alright, so it has to be formal. It's very important for it to be formal. Alright, it has to be formal. Okay, very important for it to be formal. Okay, so the language here through and through is formal, and of course, since it's a biography, you need to remember that it's written by another person, right? So we use quotations. If it was an autobiography, of course, these are the words of the person directly coming from the person who's writing about their own life, isn't it? But a biography, you need to use quotations. These quotations can be references, okay? Because the reader needs to know that the one who's writing the biography about somebody else's life is not taking these words from his or her own mind. So, for you to assure them about this, you need to do what? You need to add quotations. Quotations can be from other texts, quotations can be from things that he or she said in newspapers or articles, quotations from things that other people may have said about this person. So the quotations here, using quotation marks, taking these words and using them as references or evidence about that particular aspect or topic that you're speaking about at that point. So quotations are very, very important. You try to use quotations here. All right, and then of course you go on to paragraphing. Okay, we spoke about that. Yeah, so we also have quotations like kami here. For example, in the first paragraph, have you seen that quotation kami? Of course, yeah. The quotations can also help to show that the words are not coming from you. All right, they're not coming from the one who's writing them. So if you don't add quotations, it seems as if you're what? You're the one who was making up that information, and of course that would take away your authentication. All right. So go to paragraph 6. We're going to read it together. What does it say? It says, "I was now escaped out of the shadow of the Roman Empire, under whose toppling monuments we were all cradled, whose laws and letters are on every hand of us, constraining and preventing. I was now to see what men might be, whose fathers had never studied Virgil, had never been conquered by Caesar, and never been ruled by the wisdom of Caius or Papinian." Of course, we need to remember here that Robert Louis Stevenson had moved to Samoa. Of course, Samoa is quite distinct from the European continent. There isn't any much influence of the European culture, which in his case he thought that the Roman Empire had brought in so much influence to the Europeans. All right. So he thought about it. So here he says, "I was escaped out of the shadow of the Roman Empire." So you think about a shadow. If you're in the shadow of something, that means you are living what? Living it, isn't it? You are living the results of something, right? Or you can feel something. So think about a shadow. It's not tangible, but the results are still there. You can still feel it there, isn't it? Right? So he says, "I was now escaped by the shadow of the Roman Empire." So he's saying he was no longer living under the influence of the Roman Empire. You know what I'm saying? Under whose toppling monuments we were all cradled. So monuments, which monuments are they talking about? Things that remained from that past. Alright? For example, if you go to Europe right now, you can see the remains of the Roman Empire in forms of old buildings, the old roads, so on and so forth, whose laws and letters are on every hand of us. So of course, even the laws are now influenced by the Roman Empire. Now, even up to now, they have that imprint up until now, constraining and preventing. I was now to see what men might be whose fathers have never studied Virgil. Of course, if you go to some more, those people may not have studied Virgil because of lack of education, lack of knowledge, or rather there isn't that much influence of that legacy of Roman Empire. Had never been conquered by Caesar. Of course, we know that the Roman Empire spanned many countries, but of course Samoa was not one of them. Had never been ruled by the wisdom of Gaius or Papinian. Of course, I'm thinking those two were rather quite influential Roman Empire figures. So obviously Samoa may not have been affected by those. Alright, so I hope this was a wonderful lesson. On page 18, 19 and 20, you find questions there. I want you to answer those questions. Yeah. I hope it is really wonderful class, a wonderful lesson. Please feel free to ask any question if you have any. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.